Derech Eretz.
At a personal audience with the modern-day Jewish sage, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, in 1981 influenced and became a source of guidance on how Professor Michael Rudolph lives his life. The Rebbe believed in investing in and enabling people to grow and develop, something that Michael has been mindful of in various leadership roles. Within the Siyakana Initiative, he has used this influence to create leaders and not followers.
I was originally in the Department of Public Health Dentistry or Community Dentistry, and that allowed me to be exposed to many communities in South Africa, rural, urban, peri-urban, right throughout the country, taking our students, doing research, and I got to understand people in the communities. And as a result of that, and in finding out their difficulties and of course their assets, about 12 to 13 years ago, it was obvious that food insecurity was a major issue. And sort of coming back to the way I was raised by my mom and dad in terms of the value system of giving back to people, and when you see a problem, it's not a matter of walking away, but trying to find a solution in addressing that problem. I'm sure that that was an inherent value system that initially that my mom and dad had passed on to me of working with people, of assisting people, of addressing their problems, of finding ways to build and enable people to reach their full potential. And so I came across the idea of urban food gardens. And so I approached Joburg City and I explained to them the problem. And happily they responded very positively and said, let's do a mapping exercise. And we had a look at various parks around Joburg City that was fairly close to the inner city. And we came across the Sadendood Park. And they allocated this almost hectare of land for us to have an integrated food garden, which would be used to grow food, but also to demonstrate and to show people how to grow their own food, and therefore to build capacity and to empower people to do that.
My first day when I started to work here in Siyakana, I was not serious about working in a garden. And then I sat down alone at home and then I said, no man, let me put my heart here in Siyakana. I started to be serious and then I started to be focused. So I learned lots of things here.
Today there is an incredible realization and importance of mentorship and of coaching, of reinforcement, of support for the people who you are training and coaching. And I've seen this from real experience, that particularly taking into account the educational background of the farmers with whom we're working here. But I want to emphasize that even at a university level, that the mentorship and coaching is equally important, rather than the distant supervision that one provided for students in the past. And we have seen the results of that interaction, because by mentorship it's not a matter of just sharing knowledge, it's getting to know the person or the people or the communities, understanding who they are. And with that realization, you can impart knowledge, experience, share whatever you've learned, lessons learned, much more effectively once you get to know who you're dealing with. And that's such a key aspect.
I learned very important things. The first thing he started to teach me is for me to be loyal. He is teaching me to have patience, to work even with limited resources. You have to try to be productive with the limited resources you have. You have to be patient, you have to be lenient, and you have to be hardworking. And you have to see other opportunities which are behind you, which you cannot see, but you have to look for them and find them.
There are millions of people now needing food in the urban environment, and their access to affordable, nutritious food is limited. And so what we want to do is to bring food that is close to where people live and work, that is nutritious. And there are roofs such as this, and if you look across the inner city, there are huge amount of space that can be effectively utilized. So what we see here is a compost and a soil-based system, but the tunnels all have a hydroponic system, which is very important because it reutilizes the water. So it's about 90% water efficient. So whatever we have done here, we have trained the ladies that you see here and the gentlemen to be able to actually construct the tunnels, every aspect of the tunnels, how to grow the plants, how to actually mix the nutrients in the various tanks, how to regulate it. So every single aspect has been taught to them, and very importantly, they've also had a course in entrepreneurship and running a small-scale business.
When they invited us, they say it's an urban farming training. So we came here with the mind that we're going to learn how to farm differently than the conventional one. And it was not only the training about farming, it was also about business, like training us as entrepreneurs. And then along the line, we wrote our exams. After graduation, they said now we're going to elect 6 people to be the part of the team. Along the line, they say now you guys, you are fit to be, we have grown enough to be a cooperative. Now you must register. That was from the city of Johannesburg, that now you must register as a co-op. And then we registered. Thereafter they told us, this is your business. You must take care of it. This is how we want to change the life of the inner city community.
What they've learned is to, take greater responsibility, to behave like a mensch. And what that means is to speak to one another respectfully. And while the technical aspect of mulching or digging or planting, harvesting, packaging, selling, etc., obviously are key aspects, there are just other kinds of value systems and understanding one's culture and background, which is so important.
What kind of a society we'll have in future if our children, they don't take education serious? Because they have to take education serious. We are looking at the future leaders from them. Now us, we must lead them. We must lead them by example that you cannot do anything if you don't want to listen, if you don't want to learn, if you don't want to be coached, if you don't want to be advised. You cannot go anywhere with life. We are the living example. As I'm aging now, at this age, but I still want something to do, producing new things in my life. I'm always telling my grandchildren that I'm doing this for you, so that you will know in life you cannot get older to learn.
My interpretation of Derech Eretz is behaving in that moral and ethical way, of behaving in a responsible way, of ensuring that one's relationships with one's husband or wife, with one's family, with one's parents, with one's teachers, with one's fellow workers, is carried out in a very respectful and understanding way, respecting diversity, respecting cultural changes, respecting all of those aspects. And not least of all, Derech Eretz can also be translated as earning a living, because then it gives one respect and self-esteem, and you're not always recipients. So it has got a lot of meaning. And in the same way as that we know in Judaism that there are 613 different commandments that one has to fulfill. But Derech Eretz is not one of those, but it's certainly the mortar that holds those commandments together and enables us to fulfill them with more meaning. And therefore, you know, if one has to have a meaningful life, irrespective of your station or position in life, that behaving like a mensch, behaving in a respectful way and with decency and speaking to people like that, I think just enriches everybody, not only yourself and the people that you're working with, but the entire community.